LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, that's Chris. It's Saturday night on the LFC Daytrippers. I cannot genuinely remember the last time I've done a show on a Saturday. It may be, honestly, it may be the Champions League final of 2019. I think we done a show that night. And then again, we mightn't. I'm not too sure, but I can't remember the last time we were on a Saturday. But we decided to come on tonight because this transfer window was going lovely and smoothly. Two signings in. Will we add another one? Will we get a defender? It was all going great. The training came back. We were getting videos. We were getting all this sort of stuff. And then bang, the Henderson stuff happens. Then Fabinho's name gets thrown into it. And now Fabinho's being left behind as the squad have travelled to Germany for pre-season preparations. So, me and Chris have come on tonight to discuss what's going to happen with Fabinho, the timeline of it, how we feel about it, who will we get in to replace him, how many signings we need. We'll touch on Jordan Henderson. There's loads to go through, and it's all based around two players really at the minute. So, you're very welcome in the chat on this Saturday night. Loads and loads and loads of you watching already. Hit the like button, simply for the fact we're on a Saturday night. I think that deserves a like. So, do hit that like button if you can. Arsenal for Life is in and says, Rice, baby. Yeah, is that done? Yeah, all done and dusted.
Yeah, apparently so. There's a horrendous video out about it as well.
I've seen a horrendous video out about it, and Rice baby is not very original. Arsenal for Life. I'm going to say that much for you. Try a little bit harder. Not just you as a club. I think you should try a little bit harder. Where's Andy for the Hand of the Bake Gav? Did he bottle it? Says Brian Murphy. No. I didn't know me and Andy were meant to have. We've had a debate with regards to it on Twitter. But no, there's no debate going to happen. I don't think. Me and Andy haven't discussed having one. But I'll give you my view on Henderson later on. Chris, how are you? How is this transfer window treating you? Because it's all over the shop.
I'm loving it. This is like Liverpool of the 2000s. This. I'm waiting for him to do the old Houllier reveal where we have like what 8 players in the main stand. Go, look at all these guys we got. And then we go after the ball.
Yeah, it could get to that if you look at the amount of players that are leaving and how many we think we need, because we said at the start of the summer 3 midfielders will go. We'll probably need 3 in, maybe defender. So we were at 4, and then it could be 2 more leaving, and you're like, well, you have to replace them 2 as well. So that could be 6. So yeah, we might need to book off a little bit of the main stand at some stage during the summer with Jurgen sitting there with all the lads, or even better, get Pep Linders to do it. And
just for the crack, for the wind up.
Just for the, if anything goes wrong, we can go, well, it's all his fault for sitting in the stand from. Jake Semester is saying, Gav, how many cushions do you need for one sofa? I'll pass it on to my wife. Likes the cushions, throws loads of cushions on the sofa. And I've said on shows previously, none of my fucking business. Okay.
I have the same problem, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just cushions, no big deal. So let's get into it. Fabinho. Look. Fabinho's signed for Liverpool in the summer of 2018. He's with us 5 years. I think it's five seasons. I think he's been brilliant for us. Am I right in saying 18? Yeah, am I?
Yeah, literally day after Kiev, wasn't it? Yeah. We literally just got beat by Real Madrid, and the next day we signed him. We're like, oh well.
Yeah, so he's with us five seasons. An absolutely brilliant servant to Liverpool. Did suffer the odd injury. Was a bit slow when he came back from injuries. We all knew that. But he's been exceptional. He's been a cornerstone of Liverpool's success rise and success over the last 5 years. Not a great season for him last year, although not a great season for him a lot. Showed a little bit at the back end of last season when Liverpool kind of got their act together that, look, he had a very difficult job in that midfield as the main anchor when all things around him were all over the place. But I don't think he covered himself in glory. And the feeling, I think, amongst a lot of Liverpool fans was, look, he's shown a bit of form. If we get a couple of players in to supplement what we have there, we may see the rise again of Fabinho and the progression of other players around him, i.e. Elliot Jones, whoever, Bojcetic, wherever it might be. But over the last couple of days, it's come out that Fabinho was going to be subject of a £40 million bid from Saudi Arabian club. Is it El Ittihad? Am I right in saying that? Or
I'm absolutely no idea.
I think it's El Ittihad. But anyway, 40 million quid. Okay, and when people were like, interesting. You know, we've got 5 years. We probably got us 5 best years out of him. We make our money back. But it felt a bit weird because we were kind of looking for one more midfielder with what we had there. What was your feeling when this came out, Chris? Because there was a lot of mixed feelings around the place with, yeah, you're getting your money back, but is this too much too soon with regards to this midfield?
It all felt a bit of a year too soon, didn't it? We all kind of thought with both Fabinho and we'll come on to Henderson, we thought with both of them, this would be the year where they both be sort of used at the start of the season and phased out for the new starters. And that's kind of what we thought we'd get. But I'll be honest, I think you may have done transfer shows before, Gav. We've done drafts in the past. If we'd have done one of these drafts, said, all right, you could sell Fabinho, it'd be 40 million. We'd all go, look, we all like a laugh, but no one's paying that for him. Not on the current form. Yeah. And I think the only thing you hope is if Liverpool are smart, which I'd like to think they are, it's 40 million up front, not over time like most deals are. Ask for it up front. Because 40 million up front has a very different feel of football finances, because then that's what City do. That's why City gets so many players for 50 million, because they put £35 million up front and then pay a small amount over the end of the contract. So for us, that would give us some leeway to go for a higher value player than Lavia, because I kind of feel if you're going to get rid of Lavia, you need someone of that next level of experience to really step in. Because look, apart from the last probably year or so, he's been brilliant for us. I mean, I'll probably say for the first 2-3 years he was at Liverpool, he's probably the best DM in the league, probably the best DM in Europe, comfortably. Mm-hmm. And then, to be fair, Rodri's overtaken him. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying that, but he was brilliant for us. I mean, that Barcelona performance in the 4-0 at Anfield is one of the best performances I've seen by a DM, especially when he got a booking after about 10 minutes.
Yeah, he does. He gets a booking for a brilliant tackle on Luis Suarez, doesn't he? Like, there's plenty going on in the chat here. Like, you know, Jake says, if we sign Calvin Phillips to replace Fabinho, I'm going to smash myself with a golf club. But don't go, Jesus, that's going doing that.
That's impressive. Yeah, that's impressive to do that.
But he also says Fabinho's a great personal terms and 600,000 a week to go to the Saudi. No brainer for him not to go. Look, this is all about the deal for Liverpool, and the deal for Liverpool currently sits, like I said, at 40 million quid. Now there is a lot of transfers. A vast majority of them. If you're paying 40, you're probably paying 25% of that up front, and then it moves on, and you get over the course of the, you know, if it's a 5-year deal, you're getting the 30 million over 5 years, so 6 million a year, whatever. But this is different because it's coming from Saudi Arabia, and I'm not saying that because it's an oil state or anything like that. I think it's because it's outside of Europe. You know, they all do these deals in Europe, and it's all FFP, and they're under UEFA. This is different. You know, Liverpool would look at it and probably think to themselves, 40 million, like you said, you get your money back, and we can go and reinvest it. And there was talk during the week that Liverpool wouldn't make another signing in midfield unless someone went. Okay, now currently as we sit right now, we still have 8 midfielders, I think, at the club. Okay, and I was pushing for 9 in the shape of a Lavia or a Thuram or whoever, and then if someone leaves, you can probably add one in. And I wasn't against that, because I thought if you're going to lose a Fabinho, a Henderson, or a Thiago, you're just doing something that you're going to do, I think, a year down the road. And you're getting it done a year early, and it makes that job a year down the road that little bit easier. That's how I felt. But the two of them now is the mad one. I think if we end up with one of them staying and one of them going, I
still think you need one.
Yeah. I think you need 2, but I don't think you'll do 2. I think they've settled on 8, and if one leaves, one comes in. If 2 leaves, 2 will have to come in. But I'm more comfortable with one leaving and doing the other one a year later. I think it's too much change at the one time. Shane Almond asked a question with a super chat. Thanks very much. He says, you never walk alone, lads. What if we went Trent to the 6th position and use the sell the money to get a right back. You see, there's a lot made around this Trent Alexander-Arnold thing moving into midfield. Trent is going to start at right back for Liverpool. It's simple
I
as
think
that.
he might. I think he might move to midfield in the next couple of years, but
He's going to
he's got to.
start there. And
He's got to
then,
get used to it. He's got to
yeah,
get used to it. I mean, he hasn't played there since the youth set up. And youth football is quite different to men's football.
I know, but the whole idea behind Trent doing this thing in midfield is that we start with him at right back, and then we manipulate the game to where our ways, and he drifts in here, and he's just an extra man in midfield to create, and that's fine. Will we see as much of it this season? I don't know, because I think we've added creativity into that midfield in McAllister and Szoboszlai, so it's a bit of a weird one. But just on Fabinho, it has to be writing on the wall, doesn't it, Chris? Because like, he doesn't travel to Germany. You know, if you look at his situation and Henderson's situation, if you're taking Henderson's situation as, you know, there is an offer, the contract offer there from a club in Saudi Arabia, and he's travelled, okay? If Fabinho wasn't subject to a bid, he would have travelled too.
Yeah, such a bid.
When I'm not travelling, it feels to me like this could be announced very, very quickly. Liverpool will just come out and say, we've accepted a bid for Fabinho, and that's going to be it. We move on. Not travelling is a massive sign.
Yeah, not travelling, but he says the bid they've got is pretty much ballpark what they want, both the club and the player. And it just feels like a shake hands. Look, there's no point you traveling to Germany because you're not going to be used this year, so off you go. Whereas Henderson travel because the deal's not agreed, so that's one problem. But he can't be causing any problems in the camp, because we've seen with Klopp, if he doesn't think the players focus on the causing problems in the camp, they just don't travel. And he would have just said to him, we saw it with Sacco. He literally lasted 2 days, caused a bit of fuss, and he went, you can fuck off home now, mate. And that was it. Yeah. And I don't think Klopp would do that with Henderson if he thought that was the case. But yeah, when I saw Fabinho wasn't travelling, I was like, I expect him to be gone by Sunday.
Do you think the fact that, and just touching on Henderson quickly, do you think the fact that he has travelled would show you? Now, you can read this wherever you like, because the fact that he has travelled, well, you could read it as, look, all them reports are way off. Or, them reports are partially true, okay? And Liverpool have decided he goes with you to Germany because this crowd over here aren't really serious about buying Jordan Henderson. They want him on a nominal fee or free, and we're not doing that. He's our club captain, 33 years of age, wherever he has 2 years left in his deal. We're not playing ball on nominal fees. He goes with you.
Yeah.
And Henderson's probably being told the same.
I mean, in the grand scheme of the football world we're in, £20 million is not massive money these days. Not when you see other players of similar ages who've gone to the Saudi League. I think Koulibaly went for about 17 million.
Yeah.
Mahrez is apparently going to be going for 30 million. You know, so
Mahrez is going there, is he?
There's a rumour Mahrez is going to go there for 30 million. But when you look at it, you go, so if you say 20 for Henderson, you're going, that's kind of in the ballpark of what other players have gone for. It's not like taking the piss. You know, it's like, you know, he's younger than Koulibaly. He's still playing international football. You know, he's nowhere near the level of Mahrez, because attacking players just generally go for more money. So 20 million isn't exactly outrageous. I think where Henderson's sold himself short is, if you're going to agree a deal to go to another club, don't you kind of want to make sure you know what they're going to offer? They're going to offer Liverpool, or at least have the conversation, because they seem a bit surprised this whole Liverpool won't let him go for free, which, to be honest, I think anyone could have told them that. And that's where it's got really messy for Henderson. Because if you want to go, look, if players lead, you know, I'm a bit like, if they want to go, let them go. But, you know, perhaps he should have got his ducks in a row a little bit. The fact he's travelling says to me, with every passing day, I think it's more likely Henderson stays and just sees another year out of his contract, maybe goes next summer. Probably not for the same money, because I can see in a year's time this level of money won't be there.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you know, people, like, I remember Kev on Twitter a couple of days ago, and he was saying, before this whole when this Henderson stuff was breaking, and he was saying, like, you know, if you want him, it's 50 million. Now, people are like, Kev, you're fucking out of your rocker, like 50 million, right?
It just messes up our plans, doesn't it?
But it messes up our plans. But I think the other way to look at it is, if they're offering 700 grand a week, they value Jordan Henderson to be a massive part of whatever team he's going to play for, or the image they're going to portray, or wherever it might be. So Liverpool are well within the rights to value him the same.
Yeah.
You know, so do you know what I'm saying to you? So that's a bit of a mad one. But look, we'll park Henderson for a minute. Just back to Fabinho. A lot of people, a couple of people saying there he stayed back to do his medical. Some people are asking, is he staying back because he looked wrecked in the pre-season videos? Is he just doing intensive?
He did look knackered, didn't he?
Intensive personal training and stuff like that. Dave Ashley says David Lynch came out today saying that the numbers are nowhere near as high as originally reported. Wages could be a quarter of the money reported, which would mean 175 grand a week. So is Henderson dropping wages to go? Because I think he's on about 200 a week at Liverpool. Would I be right in saying that? 175 into 700 is 4 times, yeah.
175, yeah. He's on 200.
He's on 200 here, so that doesn't really make sense for him to go to Saudi
I can believe
Arabia.
it's not. I can believe it's not 700, but I can believe it's got to be more than what he's on now. Because otherwise,
to consider it,
a significant jump of what he's on now. Why would you bother?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But just on Fabinho, because look, I think Fabinho was last on the list of out of those three. If you were to lose one, I felt he was the last one you would look to leave, and the reasons being the players we've brought in, right, in Szoboszlai and McAllister play those 2-8 positions. Okay, can do it in a 3, can do it in that boxy mid. Well, it'll start as a 3 anyway, ends up being a boxy 4, and you know that the lads are kind of that inside right, inside left, supporting the forwards and stuff like that, and they're made for that. Then when you look at Curtis Jones and you look at Harvey Elliott, probably good backups, you know, to those positions. And then you look at Bajcetic, who will be a backup to Fabinho, still young, okay? So it kind of felt to me like, could you do without Thiago? Oh, personally, I wouldn't. I think he's a fantastic footballer. And the club known that they have the resources there for if anything happens to Thiago, injury-wise or whatever, through his last year, we'll deal with it. And we'll make best of that situation. But you could do without him if you wanted to do something else. Henderson the same. Henderson for me feels like that 6 role, it isn't for me when it comes to him. He's in that role maybe behind the Szoboszlai and maybe an Elliott with regards to when we want to be creative, because I think the further he gets up the pitch, the more Henderson looks panicked to me, especially when teams are camped and he's, instead of being in the middle of the park looking to field balls, he's getting it on the inside right channel and he has to look to create, slip people in, blah, 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 blah. So that was the thing. But then Fabinho was the one where I went, that's the last one. You can't, you know, if you were to put them in order, Fabinho is a distant third for me because it's a specialist. It's his specialist position, and the only real player. What?
There aren't many good 6s.
No,
around.
There isn't, and the market the way it is, and the lack of them out there, you'd say to yourself, Fabinho, just leave him there. Leave him there. He might be something you have to do next summer, but let's bet in what we have here and use the situation for Fabinho to our advantage. Because the only real one I think that can go in there and play is Bajcetic, and he's 18 years of age, right? So when we were bringing one more in, my idea was that you bring in someone in that 6th position. You're forward planning for next summer. You're giving them a year's experience there before they leave, like learning on the job. Bajcetic is there and there's no pressure on Bajcetic to be, listen mate, you need to play 15, 20 games in a row here because Fabinho's legs have fallen off and this new guy is, you know, we've no one else. So go with that. And now it's like, fuck, the one that was distant third is probably first. Chris, Kev banging on about it like non-stop. He's saying the unplanned bit of this is a bit mad. But replacing Fabinho, 40 million. Liverpool have to do something here. Like Liverpool can't say, oh, we have lists and we're monitoring. Liverpool have to act here. Do you expect them to act? And there's about 20 names out there, but do you expect them to act? And what way do you expect them to act?
I do expect. Look, I think Liverpool bring 2 centre mids even if Henderson stays. I generally think they'll bring in 2 because I think they need to, because it's replacing a 6, and we don't have a lot of experience at 6. We've got players who could do jobs like McAllister could do a job there, but Thiago has done the 6 job because he used to play as a 2. We've seen Curtis Jones do it, but again, they're all doing jobs. It's not their specialism. And so that's my worry. I mean, if Liverpool are as organised as you'd like to think they are, is they were probably looking to replace Fabinho in the next year to 18 months anyway. So they've got to be looking now for who they want. I mean, half the names that have been thrown out, I just don't think the journalists know. I mean, I think a couple of journalists, even David Lynch, has come out and said, these are all the names we've been linked with. He says, but I'll be honest, these could be a smokescreen for something completely different. He said, we've seen it before. And he said, Szoboszlai, and he openly went, he goes, nobody knew that was coming. So I find it hard to believe Liverpool are going, we'll let Fabinho go, we got nobody lined up. It just doesn't feel like the sort of thing we do.
But even Lavia makes less sense now. Lavia made loads of sense with Fabinho there. I think he makes less sense with Fabinho gone.
I agree. I think you need to go for someone big.
Yes, and where do you go? Because we've just said not 3 minutes ago that the market for a number 6 out there is not the best. Like David McCarthy's talking about Fofana and Monaco French International, only 1 year left on his contract. Eunice is saying, please check Joshua Kimmich's situation.
That's one that I'd probably look at, because at least that's someone who plays
What age
6.
is Joshua Kimmich?
29.
Okay, so we're swapping like for like age wise. I think
Like for like, but maybe that's a way to go for it. Is do you look for someone who could do a job for 18 months, and then you go and Lavia still gets his games. He still do the plan with Lavia, which is you come and you play a bit, but the aim is next season. The following season is you're the main number 6 and the other guy becomes the backup. Maybe that's the way around to do it. But I think you've got to bring somebody in now who could do a bit of a job for us. Now, ideally, someone like a Kimmich is someone of very high value. But again, Bayern don't want big money. Bayern don't know we've got the money for him. But we do have a good relationship with Bayern. We've done deals for Mane and Thiago, so maybe that'll help. Otherwise, the other lads you're looking at, Kev mentioned Amrabat last night, which I'll be honest, didn't exactly fill me full of joy.
No, like John Cutler says Amrabat is available. I think people are walking off Amrabat's performance at the World Cup. He's 28. He had a decent World Cup. Amrabat is awful. We're not mid-table, says Scouts or Doyle. Megan McCallion said, I'd love Marcus Llorente, but the wages could be an issue. He's around 28 as well, I think. Now, Megan, you're saying that Shawnee of this parish loves Marcus Llorente, but apparently he's on a very similar deal to what Saul Niguez is on, where every year his money goes up. So he's on, I'd say, extortionate money at Atletico Madrid. I don't know what's left on his contract. Kev mentions Kimmich, Frankie de Jong, Valverde, but
Valverde isn't a 6 though. And listen, Kev knows
Valverde isn't a 6.
I adore Valverde. I think he's
and either is Frankie de Jong for me. Not the type of 6 we play.
That's why the Gravenberch one is a funny one, because he's not a 6. But again, this is apart from Fabinho, most other players Klopp's bought for the midfield, he sort of buys them and plays them somewhere you don't expect them to, and he sort of builds them into a 6. But again, it's a risk building a project 6. But maybe that's the risk he's decided to take. That's the other option, unless we change the way we play.
Amrabat's 26, sorry, 27 in August as Hannah and programmer.
Yeah.
But Jake says get Arthur Mello back. Jesus Christ.
He's go big to Fiorentina want him, don't they?
Justin Goins says Frankie de Jong is the perfect solution. De Jong, but Wild Dead Wolf says De Jong cost 80 million and would probably choose United. Well, I don't know.
Probably would.
Well, yeah, and depends who's in from. But someone else said there, Paulinho from Fulham, but I believe Fulham are quoting 80 and 90 million. And people laugh at that. But honestly, Declan Rice is walking around at 100 plus million. So is fucking Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
Right, Jude Bellingham is 100 and he's not in the Premier League, but he's 120 odd million. There's players out there going for mental money. And this is the price we're at now. This is and the market the market's difficult as it is, but the market when you're going in for, we need a 6. I love Frankie de Jong as a player. I absolutely adored him when he was at Ajax, and he played in that midfield, and him and Van der Beek were brilliant because they worked so well with each other. And Frankie de Jong was the deepest line player, and maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. I just see Frankie de Jong as a real ball playing player that sits deep. I see Fabinho as good with the ball, but loves tackling, loves getting stuck in, and I don't think Frankie de Jong is that. Now, he could be, but that's just my opinion on him.
Unless Frankie de Jong becomes a bit probably a bit like a Liverpool how Xavi Alonso was used in his career, especially when he went to Bayern. He played 6 for Bayern, but he played 6 very different to how we expect a Mascherano style, which is probably how we envisage Mascherano for being. That's how we envisage the 6. Maybe that's a very stylistic change, though. That's quite a dramatic stylistic change. But maybe that's the way around it. That's the way. I mean, a few mentioned the lads from Ajax, Edson Alvarez, who seems to be very Marmite. Some think he's great, some think he's
Yeah,
shite.
I've seen some people talking up. Eunice says he's bang average there, to be honest. Florentino Luis, isn't it, at Benfica is a big shout today as well, says Laszlo.
Yeah, Kev's not a fan. He made a point that he's 24 and he's not even got a cap yet for Portugal. When you think of the players who are playing for Portugal, you think, how's he not getting at least a look in? So you do question why he's not being looked at.
Yeah. Like Wild Dead Wolf says, Gav and Chris, when have Liverpool bought a top name? We buy young players to improve. I completely get that. And do you know what? I think that. But it doesn't
have to be a 19-year-old, does it? It could be a 24-year-old.
No, I think Liverpool buy players that you go, they're brilliant, but I think we can get more, like Luis Diaz. I think Nunez, loads more. Mo Salah. I mean, people when we sign Mo Salah, we're like, he'll be fourth in line. There's loads of them we've signed where you go, he's really, really good, highly rated, and we've made him better and better and better. The sort of way.
But like a DM version of McAllister, if you know what I mean, who's 24, got plenty of experience as well, but still got
people, and people do rate Szoboszlai as one of the top talents in Europe as well. Apparently Partey is leaving to go to Saudi Arabia as well, so Sleepy Forest. Arsenal will go for Lavia as well. Like Arsenal aren't finished, definitely not. Definitely lose a midfielder. But maybe like
they was a close to FFP conversation.
You'd wonder did the club see this coming? And I'd actually hope that the club's seen this coming, because if someone tells me, no, the club knew this was going to happen, they knew it was coming down the line, and they were ready for it, because, leaving them out there and the timing of it is fine. Because then you feel like they're going in. Like, Carl says, show many, right?
He isn't getting sold. That's not even a conversation, is it?
Yeah, I think the whole Mbappe thing is going to have... You're going to have to wait for Mbappe to do something there before Real have to cut their cloth. And of course, reports coming out of everywhere now about Real's finances and different things, which, like, take it with a bag of salt, because yourself, financial issues just sit there and nothing fucking happens to them.
They'll just start training ground again.
Yeah, Saicedo has been mentioned.
I feel that's done to Chelsea, and I think that's
I think he's been talking loads about Chelsea, and I think the only thing holding Saicedo up to Chelsea is the conversation that Levi Colwill needs to have with Chelsea. Yeah. That's the only thing I think that's holding that up. It's which club blinks first. The sort of way, like, we're not selling you, so you say though, and then you tell us, oh, by the way, Colwill's staying with us. I think there's a bit of cat and mouse going on with them.
I think so.
Shane says, I have a question. If Hendo stays and it's looking likely, does he carry on as captain? If not, who replaces him? We'll talk about that in a bit. Do you know what? I'll actually mark your question, because I'll come back to it. How does that sound? Yeah, you'd hope they kind of knew this was coming, right?
I think that's why they brought the German bloke in. Right. I think because they obviously want somebody in there learning on the job.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I think the whole big money coming in from the Saudi Pro League, I think most clubs probably saw it coming, but I wonder if they were a bit like, I don't know what they're going to do. As in, and listen, Liverpool may have had the fear of, what if someone puts a massive bid in for Salah? One you can't turn down. Fuck me, we need an experienced sports director to help us, sort that out. Now, luckily it's not Salah, but now it's Fabinho, which is, let's be honest, is probably something they didn't plan to move on for at least another year. I think I think Henderson for you have caught them out, as in they probably didn't know the players that were likely to leave, but they probably had an inkling. I think all clubs had an inkling. I think Chelsea must have had this inkling, which is probably why they spent so much in January, that they would be able to move some on to the Saudi Pro League, which are looking for, names, to grow that league. So I just hope they go. So the best thing Liverpool can do at the moment is, as soon as Fabinho's announced to go, literally the same day announce we've signed this person.
Yeah.
And I hope for Lavia's sake it's not him, because I kind of feel there's a lot of pressure on a young kid, and it would be quite deflated, I think, in a nice way, because like you lose a lot of experience for a young kid, very talented kid, but he's still a kid. I wouldn't feel confident us going the whole season. A 19-year-old can do it for us.
Yeah, two other ones. John Cutler. Oh no, it's not John Cutler. James Millen says Rail have sold that bag of salt to the Spanish government for 200 million. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me, to be perfectly honest with you. John says we've hijacked deals before, like Diaz to Spurs. I believe we just don't want to pay what is needed for Caicedo. Well, reports of
Possibly
100
not.
million. We are in trouble here now. It looks like Arsenal are in for Lavia. Well, that's going off the presumption that Thomas Partey will leave, and Arsenal always had a look at Lavia. It was just, I was surprised when it was like Liverpool have jumped ahead in this. Now, it could be a case of Arsenal are going, maybe putting out there that they might want to act on Lavia and get Partey out so they can do that because of what's happening with Fabinho, and they know Liverpool are going to go looking now. Eunice says Tyler Adams as an outsider. And I'm surprised Douglas Luiz off Villa hasn't been mentioned as well. I'm very surprised he hasn't been mentioned.
He's just signed. Someone said he's just signed a new deal, though.
Yeah, but who cares?
Do you know what I mean? But because he signed a new deal, then he'll probably be up and they'll just say, yeah, you can have him 80 million. We know it's a conversation.
Well, look, I'm with you. I'm with you on the whole thing that if it comes Monday and Liverpool announced they've agreed a deal to sell Fabinho to El Ittihad or whatever they're called, I want something. I'd like to see them. You see, it's a double-pronged reaction. One, you have to get a player in, and two, this is Liverpool Football Club having one of their biggest players over the last 5 years taken from them. Even though we're in the situation where a lot of people go, yeah, it's great money, it's still Liverpool haven't taken a first choice midfielder from them. Like if you look at all the other players that have gone, right, they're all players out of Chelsea where you go, they weren't going to play. They're not interested. Right, Benzema, fair enough. Like I think he is the Ballon d'Or holder at the minute. You know what I mean?
He's like 36 though, so he's leaving them anyway.
He's left after 13 years or something, or whatever it is, at Real Madrid. You know what I mean? And Liverpool need to react in that way. They need to react and show that Liverpool, and we're going to sort this issue straight away, and they're going to react and show that we're Liverpool, and yeah, we've had a player taken off us, and this is what we do. Do you know? So I think it's a double-pronged kind of reaction. Someone mentions Ndidi in there. Stop.
He's injured more than he's
injured all the time. Chouameni liked a Twitter post to stop linking Liverpool with him, says Sleepy Forest. Chouameni is one that I think is going to pop up all the time on the Liverpool side.
I think he'll be linked with us now for the next 10 years. He's one of those players.
No, I think he'd be linked until Liverpool have just signed two players. I don't see Chouameni coming. I don't see Valverde coming. I do think they may need to sell one Real Madrid if Mbappe comes in, but I can't see Liverpool.
A few are asking me what do you think about Onana from Everton. I mean, to be fair, just for the wind-up.
Onana for Everton. Onana's been really good for Everton. Anytime I've seen him play, I thought he was really, really good. But I can't see...
Just for the needle. Can we just get it for the needle? There is the other, just for the needle. It'd be funny.
It could be, but I can't see Everton despite...
No, I can't.
Because Mark Kavanagh says, Anadou Onana, Everton, defensive midfielder, 6'4", 21 years of age, and Everton are broke. Yeah, that's true, but I'd say if Everton hadn't, I don't think Everton have a pot to piss in at the minute. But even if they hadn't got the pot, like if they had no piss, I still don't. They still would give it to Liverpool. It's 3 weeks now since we started. We're preparing a bid for Lavia. Nothing happened. Don't think he is a target, as Justin Ulysses.
I think he is a target, but it's been reported not only Liverpool, quite a few suitors like him, but don't want to pay 50 million.
Yeah, because
he's played 27 games.
27 games, relegated from the Premier League, 40 million buyout next summer, and the market is the market, but there's no. I can't see how Southampton can turn around and say 50 million for him. I just can't. If they turn around and said 40, I think you go, yeah, well, they're going to get 40 next year. If you want to pay that little bit of a premium now and pay 40, he might be worth 30, 35, but you pay that little bit of a premium and they're guaranteeing that they're getting it now rather than waiting a year. That's fine, but 50 feels a bit like Southampton are trying to take the mick a little bit. And I think there's been reports on Southampton's finances as which kind of adds into all of this. Jason Surendran says, no, he doesn't regret, but regret not going for Ugarte. Paulinho is probably too old. Paulinho was, Kieran B says, Paulinho is a hero to tackle. He doesn't half get stuck in. I just think it's an awkward one. My only hope on this is that, like I said, Liverpool seeing this coming, or we know they work so far ahead in time with regards to what they might do, that they go, you know what, that player we're looking at, we want to maybe do in January next year, we're going to have to bring it forward. That's my hope on it. But
we do the Szoboszlai deal, which was, I don't think Szoboszlai was planned for the summer. I think he was on a list of, if certain things work out, he might be an opportunity that crops up, and the opportunity cropped up. They went, right, no one's gone for him. They've got wind of a buyout clause. Pull the trigger. So maybe that's Joshua Kimmich is rumoured to not be happy at Bayern Munich. Liverpool have a good relationship with Bayern Munich. Maybe that's the opportunity. They go, well, we wouldn't have gone for Kimmich because we weren't looking for that level of DM. We've now lost Fabinho. Let's pull the trigger and try and push that one through instead.
Yeah.
That way, then that kind of solves everyone's problems, because it's an experienced DM for a couple of years. As Kev says, can cover right back as well, so kind of solves two problems for us. And then you look to buy a new one later.
John says Arsenal are now going back for Lavia because Partey is close to being sold. Or does Klopp do something that nobody expects us to do and signs Lavia and says, "Yeah, I'm putting him in there," because he's known to back talent.
Well, someone said was it his first year at Bayern? His two centre backs, Subotic and Hummels, were both 20. And he just went, "I'll go with 2 20-year-old centre backs," which at the time was seen as ridiculous. You can't go with 220 centre back. But that was the start of them building that really good buy side that won the league. So it wouldn't surprise me if he did that. I don't think anyone would like it.
Yeah, I think Bejan, you know what? You've actually reminded me of something. Fair play to you. He says, Gav, I think they have to pay 20% to City, as they are trying to get that 40 million and cover City with a 50 million asking price. That's fair enough. That's fair enough if they're trying that, but it's still 50 million. You know what I mean? It's still 50 million pounds. So maybe it is like, oh, we get 50 and we're getting 40 off, or we get 40 from City. Maybe that's their stance. And maybe they do get it from Liverpool or Arsenal. But at the moment, I think the thing, and maybe, look, we're talking about the whole price on Lavia. Maybe the whole thing with Lavia is he knows Liverpool and Arsenal are interested, and he's just sitting there going, we'll just wait and see what happens. Because like you said, what's happening with Partey, what's happening with Fabinho and or Henderson, maybe he's just sitting there and saying there's no hurry here. There's absolutely no hurry. Luke O'Shea says Frank Kessie or Sangara. No, not for me. Let me see. I have another one here. I want to miss someone. It's gone off my screen. I had another one there and I can't think of it. Sorry, it's completely gone. Sorry, everything just jumped all over the place there. That's why I can't. So
we can get. Some of the old talks go back. I think Kone and Thuram, but Thuram's not a 6, and Kone, I don't think his injury record's that great.
Yeah, he is out for 6 weeks after that 21s.
I'm not a big fan of
Sangara is the lad at PSV, isn't he?
Yeah.
I forgot, I kind of forgotten about him. But look, the only hope we have is that if Fabinho goes, and it's looking very, very likely that he goes, that Liverpool act quickly and act properly. And we end up saying to ourselves, even without the Henderson stuff, look, we lost Fabinho, we have 8 again. Okay, we can argue the ifs and buts about, is the player, experienced enough or whatever, depending on what player comes in. And then if Henderson goes, we have to act on that. I think that's fairly straightforward. And the centre half stuff's gone very quiet, but I'm sure, Jordan, this week that'll pick up speed again. Just quickly on Henderson before we leg it, because we weren't going to do a mad show tonight, but look, there's so much being said on Jordan Henderson. He has travelled to Germany with the squad. He is being pictured in social media posts and different bits by the club, so it's not like he's gone and or he's gone over there and they're just hiding him away. It's been fairly normal.
He's not got a back injury yet, has he?
No, it's a fairly normal like pre-season pictures and videos and clips and stuff like that. It's not like
Oh, it's amazing how people read into those pictures. He's not smiling on two of them, so it's fucking
yeah. So where are we on this? What do you think happens with Jordan Henderson? Gut feeling.
Gut feeling today is I think he's staying. I don't think the Saudi club have got the money to pay the fee Liverpool want. And I think he knows it. I think maybe that realization has hit him because I think if you said, Klopp would be, I think Klopp wouldn't be happy. He's found out last week that, he's had the conversation, I'd like to go. But Klopp's always said, as long as they have the grown up conversation. I think him and Klopp have had the honest conversation, which I'm assuming Klopp has said, you can go as long as you pay this price. If you don't pay this price, then that's it. But I would like to think the club have give a deadline. Maybe it's end of next week. By the next week, if you're not paid it, he's not going, and that's it. And we're not hearing any more about it beyond that point. And maybe Henderson knows that, and he's like, okay, the deal's the deal. If it happens, he gets to go. If he doesn't, he carries on. I've seen a lot getting upset about will he still be Liverpool captain. I think he probably will still stay Liverpool captain because as long as he's not pissed off the manager and the players are still content with being captain, it'll happen. He's not the first Liverpool captain who's tried to force a move out.
No, he's not. He's not the force captain. He's not. He's also not the. He's not also not the forced player to. And we say force a move out as if he has. We don't know if he has, but he's also not the first player to try force a move and end up being handed the captaincy. Luis Suarez captained Liverpool after trying to force a move out, and he captained them about 6 months later away at Spurs.
Luis Suarez did a paper. Did an article in the paper? Please let me leave.
Yeah.
Steven Gerrard handed a transfer request in. We had 2 summers of it going on, so it's not unusual. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying you have to like it.
No. Oh, boy, on him says it doesn't set a good precedent for the team. I agree with you, but the team would know, like Chris said there, the team would know an awful lot more than me and you know, or anybody knows. The team, and like you look at the likes of how he gets on with all of them really. When you see Henderson and even Trent coming in the other day to train and ask him where the skipper was because he wanted him to show his haircut, sort of way. Robertson gets on amazingly well with him, and everyone just seems to. Like he's really, really well liked, and they'll know more than we know. John says Henderson's 33, he's past his best, he's on big wages, he doesn't want to be there. Take 10 million and quarter losses. I get that.
But everybody else is getting 20 million for a 33-year-old. So why should we?
Correct. And if they'd have come in and said we're offering Jordan Henderson an extra 50 grand a week, right? And he wants it because it's an extra whatever it is, 7 million over 3 years. You kind of go, all right, look, I'm getting a few more quid here. It's the end of my career. And he has the honest conversation where he's, look, I don't know if I have the legs for any more or whatever it might be, or I feel I have, but you might want to play me less. So I want to go here. It makes sense. Fine. That's where maybe 10 million comes in. But the amount of money being touted around, Liverpool are well within the right to say, at the end of the day, he's our captain with 2 years left on his deal. And not only that, they were every right to turn to Jordan Henderson and go, hold on, we handed you a 4-year deal in 2021 or whatever it was, right? So you wanted us to honour, your dedication to this club with a deal. So now you have to honour it back. So it's not only just between the club and this supposed bid from Saudi Arabia, it's between the club and Jordan Henderson. And also, what he's given and what the club expect.
I also think if this bid had come in a couple of days after the season ended, he probably would have gone for 10 million. And we'd have all got over it. But because of where it is in the season, I do think some of the money is just for a bit of inconvenience. Well, you kind of fucking up our plans here. So there's a little bit of a tax just for messing our plans up because we've now got to buy, if he goes, we've got to buy 2 midfielders instead of the one we wanted to buy. So you need to compensate us for the inconvenience of having to do it. So,
yeah, and listen, that's all based. This is all based on that this is actually happening, and because like I've read so much about this is Henderson dropping this into the media. This is his side of things. That he's doing this to try force a move. And listen, That's a very valid argument, right? It's a
Mm.
very valid argument to have. The other could be
It's
that
not well thought out.
it's not it is a kind of it, it's no, I think it's a well thought out argument that they could be doing that. I don't think it's a well thought out thing from Henderson and his representatives.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
If this was happening, you know, the sort of way. Justin says he didn't force a move like Coutinho. It was just a report saying he was offered 700 grand a week to go to a Saudi club and play for Steven Gerrard. How is that ground for stripping from captaincy? I don't think there's grounds to stripping from captaincy right now. But my big thing on this is, right? My big thing on this is, forget the money for the minute, right? And I've had this out with Andy fucking for the last 24 hours. My big thing on this is, look, people will say 700 grand, who torn it down? I don't fucking know. I doubt anyone would, right? If Jordan Henderson leaves the club tomorrow and we sign 2 midfielders, nobody's going to mention Jordan Henderson in a month's time. I promise you.
No.
Right? Unless they see them on LFC TV, lifting trophies or playing games, right? They're not going to. So forget that for a minute, right? The footballing side of things, right? I get he could have had a conversation with Klopp about playing time. He could have had a conversation with Klopp about the opportunity that's arose, right? That's fine. The biggest thing in all this is non-football for me, right? And the biggest thing in this is, if I'm Jordan Henderson, now you're going to get people saying, oh, he doesn't have to answer to nobody. These reports, you don't know if they're true. I get that. If they're not true, right, Jordan Henderson and his representatives are sitting there allowing Jordan Henderson's name to be dragged through the mud, in my opinion. Because Jordan Henderson has been a big advocate for women's rights, LGBTQ plus, right? All this sort of stuff. These things are illegal, right? Well, that's illegal in Saudi Arabia. Women's rights is, you know, it's not. There's not many rights there. Let's put it that way. And he's being commended for this. He's put his name in front of all this. He's been really good in what he's done in all this.
And he's been praised rightly for it. But
Correct.
even if he stays now, it leaves a sour taste.
No, because if he stays, right, if he stays and turned around and said there was an offer on the table, it was looked at. The club, I had an honest conversation with my manager. I had a chat with the club. I had a chat with the crowd, because this happens all the time. Players are approached all the time. Listen, would you be interested in going to X club for X amount of money? Yeah, it might be. Agents do this all the fucking time. The biggest thing for me is that if he stays, right, I think he'd come out and say that they're going to have to clear it up. They're going to have to clear it up and say, listen, there was a bid in there. There was a contract offer. Jordan looked at it. You know, blah, 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 blah. Never came to fruition. Everything is fine. Jordan sees out his contract, right? Fine. Right?
No one will buy it, but fine.
If he goes, the reports look like they're true. Okay? But right now, Jordan Henderson is sitting. And you remember now, Jordan Henderson, a lot of people are accusing Jordan Henderson and his representatives, right, of, you know, stoking this fire, right? Being the driver behind all this. If it's not true, why isn't Jordan Henderson? And people will say straight away, well, why should he answer you? I'm not asking him to answer me. I don't give a fuck what Jordan Henderson does. It's not going, will I be upset if he leaves? Yeah, a little bit. Really like him, right? Is he on the wane? Yeah, but I think he's got to play role to play in the squad. So it's not about me or you or anybody else. For Jordan Henderson himself, if this isn't true, right? If his representatives should be saying, listen, we need to get out in front of this. We need to get out in front of this and say this is not happening. Because now Jordan Henderson, for, you know, the Laces campaign, the LGBT, the women's rights, the this, the that, the other, right? Stood up during COVID for the NHS, all this sort of stuff. Now that's all being pulled apart here in front of our eyes. If it's not true, let's put it to bed. And it can be easily done. We see it all the time. Players just screenshot a report and just put laughy faces on it. Not true. And that's the end of it. But it hasn't been done. And listen, whether Jordan Henderson is going, staying, doesn't know, I can't understand, if it's not true what's going on, why Jordan Henderson isn't out in front of this and making sure that people know that what's being reported is untrue. Now, people will say, well, why would you give them oxygen? You're not giving them oxygen. You're suffocating the story straight away. But they're
You could
not.
easily have a conversation with the club and just say, just throw something out that says this is bollocks.
Yeah.
Despite me, and that's not the first time Liverpool have said, despite numerous media reports, this is not this is not happening, or this is not true. Things carry on as normal. The fact he hasn't done that says what we all think anyway, which is he does want the move, or he's quite happy to do the move.
Mm.
But the fact he's gone on the training camp and the manager's allowed him to go on the training camp says to me that if the move's not happening, he's not exactly going to kick up a fuss over it, and he's just going to get his head down. So
Yeah,
I think that's why he's been allowed to go, because I think if he's desperate to go and making a fuss about it, I just don't think he goes on the plane. Don't think they put him on the plane.
Yeah.
Or they make up some bollocks that Jordan Henderson's picked up a hamstring injury in pre-season training.
But
And
Ownbook says it's definitely true, Gav. It has to be, right? I don't know if it's true. I can't honestly sit here and say all of that is true, right? You would lean towards it being true, right? Okay? You would lean towards it being true, okay? Because the reports, whether you believe them or not, are not being put to bed. This is Liverpool's club captain. This is the captain of Liverpool Football Club, right? And the person that everyone looks to and everything else. I just, for Jordan Henderson himself, and maybe that's why I don't work in PR, right? People go, you're mad, that's not what you do. But I just think if he wanted to, like Aaron Coppice says, the usual Hendo agenda, same energy for Fabinho. Aaron, you're going to have to tell me what this agenda is, because this conversation about Jordan Henderson is being very measured with regards to staying going, reports being true or not, right? And actually, it's not a Hendo agenda, because my whole thing on this is that Jordan, in my own mad mind, I think Jordan, the best thing for Jordan Henderson, if this isn't what's happening, is to say it's not. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, going on the plane, you could be right, Chris. He's gone on the plane because he's had a conversation with Klopp, and they've said, look, they can't pay the money. Fine, but what are we doing here? Forget about it. We're going on the plane. Fine. That happens all the time in work. You get an offer, not suiting, no, I'm staying where I am. Aaron Copley says, how can he put it to bed? The clubs are still talking. Well, if the clubs are still talking, then the reports are true. And all I'm saying is that.
But the clubs are talking, but they haven't agreed a fee, so they've had the conversation, which is, let's give you this number, this figure, Jordan, you're not going. So what do you want to do? And by the looks of it, if I'm being an assumption, he's gone, we'll carry on as normal then. I'll train and play like I always do until either they pay the fee or they missed the deadline, and then I carry on at Liverpool. It's probably like quite a grown-up conversation of how you do it. I'm sure they'll never announce it, but there'll be a deadline that this club's going to hit. That if you want Henderson, it's got to be X date and then you're done.
Johnny D says, come on, Gav, you sound like a wife trying to convince herself that her husband isn't cheating on her, or he 100% wants to move. If that's what's happening, that's fine, right? And if that's actually the way it progresses, right, the uproar will be Jordan Henderson. It'll still be the uproar, right, that he's leave. And look, Liverpool fans, a lot of them will be happy to see Jordan Henderson leave. A lot of them will kind of go, I know, I kind of want him to stay because he has a role to play. Some of them will be upset that he's leaving because they think he has an awful lot to offer. There's loads, and that's all of them are absolutely fine. I'm not trying to convince myself of anything. What I'm trying to say is that and it looks like, right, because of his silence, that he has accepted this and wants this move, right? That's going to happen. Then we'll all move on to, he's taking the Saudi money, and then it'll all disappear because we'll sign someone. My whole point on this, Johnny, is that if he wants to move and this is gone, it'll progress and we'll go through the stages, and then eventually it'll be gone and he'll be forgotten about when we sign players. If it's not happening, why has Jordan Henderson sat there and let this be spoken about him? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if he moves, he moves. Nothing we can do. We'll all throw the moral fucking thing at him, but he'll go and we'll forget about it. But honestly, it just, I've kind of looked at this on a non-footballing side of things, and people are saying, I've even had people saying to me, well, like, what do they think that much of themselves that they have to, portray this? Yes, all these top players, Liverpool captain, England, they all have
When
these
you
people
when
around
you
them.
when you stood up for those sort of communities, I'll be honest, unprompted. No one made him do that. He did that of his own volition. That's why it's on him. Maybe that's why there's a little bit of less of a stick beating around Fabinho leaving, because he hasn't really spoken either way on his opinion on uh, gay rights and women's rights. He hasn't spoken either way about it, so people don't know what his opinion is. Whereas I think if you put yourself front and center of something, and then you do something which sort of goes against what you said, you make yourself a hypocrite. You make yourself a target, and that's what he has done. He has made himself a bit of a target, but ultimately, that's for him to worry about. It's not for me to worry about. And that's why I don't really care what John has to worry about. He's a multimillionaire. It's not my life. Do you know what I mean? So he's got to look at himself in the mirror and go, am I happy with this decision? If he is, that's for him. That's his thing to deal with. It's not for us to have to justify either way.
Yeah, and I think as a club, Liverpool, I think they're right to look for what they're looking for. It's their decision what they're looking for.
I think so.
But it might be a case of, like you said, there's a deadline on this. Now they come in with that bid, or else we're not coming back to the table. You stay here because we don't have the time to replace you. And I think that's, as much as it looks like they're going to accept the deal for Fabinho to leave, and they're going to need a replacement. If they need a replacement for Henderson, they know that they have from a certain date until the 31st of August to do it. After that date, they're not contemplating this. They're just not. And if you'd like him, don't like him, or whatever, anything else, that doesn't matter. The club have to stand and say, get it done by this date. We get that money, or you just don't go. Don't come back looking for it. It's not happening. In a sort of way. So, it's a mad one. Someone asked us to start a show tomorrow night. Yeah, there is. There is a show tomorrow night. I'll round up the lads tonight and sort them out and see what we are. We will be back tomorrow at 10. Have we cleared any of that up, Chris? Don't know.
Probably not. No. But
do another 47
nice chat.
names.
No, nice chatting. Nice chat this evening though.
Look, the Fabinho stuff looks like it'll move quickly. This Henderson one looks like it might drag on a little bit.
The sad thing is, with those sort of players, I mean, listen, it's their choice. They've chose to leave. It would have been nice to do the whole send off like Bobby got. Like Fabinho left next summer, and you could have done a bit like we did with Bobby. A bit of a send off.
We knew Fabinho was going to leave this summer.
Yeah, because then you would have
done it towards the end of this season. Yeah,
that would have been quite nice because he will go down as a Liverpool legend. I generally think if you win a league and a European Cup, which we did over 2 seasons, you're in that bracket because look, only 6 Liverpool teams have won a European Cup, so he does put you in that upper echelons of people that remember. And he made such a big impact. It wasn't like he was a squad option who just dipped in and out. He was apart from the last 12 months, he was a really, really big, important part of Liverpool. He was starting to have goals to his game. That goal against City in the title winning season is a banger. So look, I'll miss him because he's probably the best defensive midfield we've had in the Premier era, comfortably. Yeah. No one even comes close. Not even Mascherano comes close to him. And I loved Mascherano, but Fabinho was a different level.
Yeah. Ashley L says now we haven't really cleared anything up, but we enjoyed it all the same. Listen, we're not here to tell you definite transfer news. That's not our goal here. Our goal here is to come on when stuff happens and give reaction to it, give you a chance to give your reaction and just give our opinion on it. We're not going to tell you we know the ins and outs of what's going on. James Stevens says, I broke 80 yesterday, Gav. I love golf. Well done. Breaking 80. Really, that's really, really fucking good, is what it means.
Oh, okay. I don't know what it means in golf.
No, well, look, it's just, I'd say he's probably shot somewhere between 8 and 10 over par there, which is really fucking good. Fair play to you, James, and keep it up. I was out at the driving range yesterday. Me and a mate of mine, the rain was horrendous. No golf courses were open yesterday. So we went to driving range, and I have to say the driving range was deadly. I had the top tracer technology where you could play virtual golf on golf courses while hitting balls out onto the range. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, that was good. Ado Pill has sent a super chat, £5 from Ado Pill. Don't know if Ado has anything to say, but thanks a million. Thanks very much. But look, we are going to be back tomorrow night. we keep bringing you these shows that they feel like on a daily basis at this stage because something keeps happening. Like I'm genuinely wishing where Liverpool just don't release anything for a day and we can all have a day off, but that's not how it's working. The summer's been really busy. We've brought you as many shows as we possibly can. We'll continue to do that until pre-season starts next Wednesday or something, is it?
Something like that, yeah. I think me and Kev are going to hope to try and do a great
Oh
game
yeah,
show.
great games. Get that in as
It
well,
got,
yeah.
it got binned off this week.
Yeah, you got binned off because of all the stuff going on, but we'll get it back in. When's the next bang average golf video, says Jake? There was one out on Wednesday. It's probably going to be a week or so before the next one's out. So we're doing loads of work in the background on that channel. So yeah, go and check it out. I think we're only one subscriber off 400, which is cool. But listen, what'll be will be with that channel as well. Thanks a million to everyone for watching. Thanks to Chris for joining me on this Saturday night. Anything else before we go, Chris?
No, nothing from me.
You're good. Okay. I know Shane says, good show, lads. Good discussion. See you tomorrow night. Should be me, should be Keith, should be Emma tomorrow night. Don't know what we'll talk about. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.